Honestly, I think that I have already recorded a seventh episode, but it has been lost, probably for the better. I don't remember what happened with it, if I already deleted it, but I was positively naming and shaming everybody under the sun. You know, the internet is kind of like a big small town where I think that the chances of them finding out are extremely slim, but I'm also like paranoid enough that I'm not gonna risk that. So, welcome to the official seventh episode. Today we will be discussing quitting and unemployment. To get you caught up on things if you're brand new and you've never seen me before, there has been a recurring topic almost every time I've sat down to film to discuss anything going on in my life, this very open-ended question and prompts about mental health, and that has been wanting to quit my job. Cue the montage. So my big update right now is that I have finally done it. I quit. Things were just getting really, really stressful for me, and I feel like they've been to that point for a long time, and I finally just admitted it, acknowledged it, and was brave enough to do what needed to be done. Hello, Bunny. I'm really proud of myself that I gave notice, because I was honestly getting to a point where I was like, it would be the best thing in the world. Like, I fantasized it about almost every shift I had, just walking out. And I knew that that wasn't a responsible thing to do, not only for myself and my resume, but I really didn't want to leave everybody short-staffed and just leave all of a sudden like that. Like, that's just, it's very out of my character and out of my, like, mode of operating, my professional work ethic, I guess, to do something like that. Like, not to say that there's never a situation where that would be like valid, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't want to push it to the point where I got so fed up that I was going to actually do that. Even though I didn't have anything lined up, I was like, I know that in order to protect my reputation, my resume, my references that I could get from here, like, I absolutely just need to walk away, and I need to do that in the most professional way possible. So I did give like 3 weeks notice. There's a lot more I could say about that, and honestly, I don't really know how much I really want to get into about it, because even though the internet is like worldwide, I also think that it can act as like a big small town in a way where people do like dox themselves, dox each other. Someone could just easily find out like who I am, I guess, and I'm not trying to like speak that into existence, of course, but to transition into the prompt already, I'm really happy with today's prompt because I think that it cues into my story about what has happened, what has transpired, and also just kind of a reflection over the last year and a half-ish that I had at that job. What is something you know to be true today that you did not know a year ago? I really enjoy the very specific questioning with that, and that's why I took a moment to like rephrase it perfectly, because it's something that you know to be true today. It doesn't mean that it's something new that you learned. It's something you could have already known a year ago, but you didn't know it to be a fact. You didn't know it to be true. Something I knew a year ago was that it was just not going to work out at this job. I feel like I have seen that writing on the wall basically since I got onboarded and was in my like first week of training. When I was interviewing and submitting job applications, this place that I got in at was the very first place, the only place that like I even had to apply to. It was like my only interview. I didn't do much job hunting. To set the scene of my life about a year and a half ago, I was an office receptionist at that point for an entire year. I was a receptionist at a hospital unit, which was the same one that I worked at as a CNA before I hurt my back. The story of how I ended up at the job that I have now left is a little bit long-winded, but I'll try to keep it short and simple and try to make it as sweet as can be. Basically, in October 2019, before the pandemic and everything, I became a CNA, and I finally got hired at my local hospital. I started to work there. I tell everyone like I had maybe a couple months of normalcy of being like a usual typical CNA, and then COVID. I am already not making this as short as possible. This is the long version. So okay. And I was a receptionist there because I used to be a CNA, but I had seriously injured my back. and I wasn't comfortable doing the same lifts, the same type of work that I had been doing with how sensitive my back was. I got put on office work and I stayed the receptionist full-time for an entire year. I wasn't making as much as I wanted to, as I felt that I needed to pay my rent, but also like have fun and have savings. I couldn't do it all. After a year of waiting for my back to heal and just needing more money, I felt like I really had to make a choice on if I was going to go back to school for nursing, if I was going to finish and follow through on that path, or if I was going to leave and go do something else. So I left the hospital and I found this medical aviation dispatch. And that, long story short, is basically sending helicopters and planes to either the site of a crash or to like a hospital to transport patients to higher levels of care wherever they need to go. So I found this job and I'm gonna try my hardest not to like name and shame, but so I found this place, I submitted my application, they got back to me like the same day. They were like hiring me very fast. It was the only place I had to apply to, the only place I had to interview, and my interview filled me with a lot of hope. I really walked into that place thinking that it was like the biggest, most positive change I could ever make in my entire life. I finally had a clear future. I had a clear path that I was confident about, that I felt I could go down, and I could like, you know, build myself up from there. I mean, I was entry level, but who knows, I could have become a supervisor, I could have become a trainer, I could have like just kept moving up and higher, and things just looked like there was no limit for me. Comparing that to nursing, I would have still had to go through like all of nursing school. I would have had to, every step of the way, anything higher I wanted to do was going to require more school and more certification. I hadn't done well in school. It was not going well. Nursing was the first thing that finally gave me that feeling as well of like, well, this is my answer. Like, this is my future. This is what I'm going to do. But then after I hurt my back, I mean, I was just doubting everything about that path. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm just not comfortable giving my back, giving my help, my health to this career. I went into that job seriously believing that it was like going to be the rest of my life, that it was going to be the place that I like would retire from. Like, I really saw that place as like the best thing that could have happened to me, the best case scenario of how things could have turned out. And that lasted like literally 2 or 3 weeks, because after that I had to get out on the floor and I was doing it in real time. And I didn't know this at the time because I was brand new, but they had me in training during the absolute worst, like busiest time of the year. And in retrospect, as someone who has now been there for a year and a half, I don't think that should have happened. I don't think that they should have had me in the hot seat as immediately as my trainers did. And by hot seat, I mean like the person taking all the calls, like physically in the part of the desk, the chair where you are the center of everything. Like, you've got a monitor here, a monitor here, a monitor here, a monitor here, this monitor where all your calls and radios are coming in on. And it was very overwhelming. And I didn't want to have to like restart again somewhere else. And I did not appreciate my trainers that much. I think that, so I was being trained by 2 different people with completely opposite approaches. And it felt like every time that I was with the other one, it was setting me back further behind when I would switch and go to the other trainer. Like, the one trainer, like, it literally could not have been more complete opposites, because the one trainer was having me do like everything and was being so unhelpful. Like, she was quizzing me before I was ready for it. And then I would go to the other person and have a day with her, and that one would be breathing down my neck, like not letting me even think for myself. Like, I was just becoming a puppet and she was telling me everything to say, everything to do. So it's like, and so with both opposite sides of the spectrum, it was not what I needed. Like, one side was like like so unhelpful. Like I needed cueing, I needed some cueing, but then the other side was like not even giving me a chance to think for myself. I was already telling myself like, just get through training. Like you only have 4 weeks left. You only have 3 weeks left. You only have a week left. Like it's just a few more days. I was telling myself, like, I was begging myself, like, you need to look at the bigger picture. You're going to be here for the rest of your life. Like your whole career is ahead of you. Like forget training. Like just get it done with. It's going to be worth it. Just get through this and then you can, you'll be all set. You won't have to worry about dealing with them ever again. Like you'll be on your own. Everything's going to get better after this is over. After this part is over, everything's going to be better. And that fallacy that I fell into lasted the entire rest of my year and a half. And things kept happening where I kept telling myself, like, you just have to get through this part. You just have to get through night shifts until you can go to swing shift, which is what I was promised from the beginning. It took me like 8 months to get off of night shift. That was a trap that I fell into where I was like, everything's going to be better once I'm on day shift. And then it was winter time and I was like, everything's going to be better, once it's summer. And just so much more work related stuff. Like everything's going to be better at the end of trauma season. Everything's going to be better when stuff picks up again. Like I just was never happy there. And the most recent things that were happening was I had 2 different partners on my program. The day shift person was extremely rude to me and extremely disrespectful, and I did not feel comfortable ever saying anything to management because he would act that way with supervisors like right in front of me, and they like let it slide. And not even being rude to me, I mean being rude to the supervisors. And I was like, okay, so if this is just like how things are, like I've known in my head this whole time that so many people have complained about him. So many people have complained about my night shift partner who was like useless, like absolutely useless. And I even said things about that too. Then most recently I had a trainee, and that was really like just the final straw that broke the camel's back, where I was like, I can barely even get myself to show up for a normal shift. And now that I have the responsibility of teaching someone else everything from the ground up, I was waiting for my attendance to get me fired. Like it was that bad, and I had been written up twice already. I was on like my second written warning. I saw that they had finally started firing people for attendance, even though it was something that's like been threatened for the longest time. And like they finally got, the paper trail started so that they could start letting people go. And I knew of people who on this attendance point system, you're supposed to be fired at 6. I knew people with like 10 points, and I knew people who like had given them plenty of reason to be fired for unrelated stuff, for like safety issues, my nighttime partner in particular, that like plenty of people had escalated issues with to management. And they still hadn't fired him for the longest time. And then they finally fired him for an attendance technicality because he missed a quarterly meeting, like a 2-hour meeting that he was supposed to show up to. He missed, and then the next time he came into work, he got fired. That guy should have been fired. Like, he never should have been signed off. Like, oh my God. That's a whole different story on its own. But anyways, they were finally starting to let people go. So I was like, oh shit, like I'm just gonna get fired for this at this point. I'm like, I can't, like, I don't want to say I couldn't show up for my shifts because I still did. Like I showed up for most of them. I probably called out like for mental health, like breakdown reasons, like maybe on average once a month. But even then it's like, that's enough points over this time period where it's like I was going to get let go if I kept pulling that. And it's like, why am I going to force myself to go to a job that like gives me a breakdown every month or like twice a month? To be fair, it's probably like once every 3 weeks. Okay, I'll change it. I'll amend it. I'll be honest. It was like once every 3 weeks. But like, why would I want to keep showing? Why would I keep going? And the way that they had their attendance system set up was like, even when you call out, even if you have a doctor's note, doesn't matter. And if you call out before 2 hours before the start of your shift, it's only like a half a point. But if you call out within 2 hours before your start time, then it's a full point. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't control the fact that like me trying to get myself to leave my house to go to work, like in the last 10 minutes before the start of my shift, like I'm already so fucking late and I couldn't get myself to leave my house. I was like crying, sobbing, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. I can't show up like this. Like, oh my God. Like if I think about it too much, it would literally make me cry right now. Like I was miserable. I hated it there, and I hated like a lot of other stuff I was going through, like emotion wise, and just I can't force myself to just be miserable. Like I would literally rather die. And that's the spot that I was in. At the very least, I still protected my resume and I gave them enough notice. I gave them 3 weeks notice. I'll be honest with you guys, but I also want to keep some things private. I have enough in savings right now where I don't need to hunt for another job. That being said, it does scare me a little bit every day that I go without an income. And I am kind of now that it's real, now that I'm like actually not, having a paycheck every other week, I am uncomfortable with that, and I probably will be looking for work soon. But for the longest time, the plan was to just, God, this is gonna sound stupid, and I'm only embarrassed because like I haven't even like I haven't published any of my videos yet, and I'm sure like this video alone is probably gonna get a max of 30 views ever, but like this was my plan. Like doing YouTube was gonna be my plan, and I'm not done with it. Like it's Tuesday. I quit like on my last day was like Thursday, which it was our Friday because we get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off on our short weeks. So like this is only my second day doing this, and I'm taking it seriously. I mean, I did play a lot of Sims this morning, but like that's different. That's research, okay? I have a lot of imposter syndrome right now. I have a lot of like indecisiveness still about like, well, which channel am I gonna work on? Even though I have this channel here, I mean, this channel, Sarah is Struggling, is not supposed to be the main focus. My main channel is supposed to be Sarah is Strong, because I think it would be a lot easier to market and to get that one popping off and getting big, and then have sponsors on that one, because I think like, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but like I just feel that like weight loss, health and wellness, exercise, that kind of content has a bigger market, has more people interested than something like this, I think. So that one's supposed to be my main focus, and I'm not great at it. I'm still working on the first video, and I have 6, now 7 on this channel, but I mean, these videos are totally different. Like those videos are supposed to be like, I have a ton of footage from like years ago. It's taking a lot of scrubbing through and me trying to piece together a bigger story, a bigger like theme message to that whole channel. And then this one is a little bit more like improv-esque. It's my mental health as we go and answering prompts that are supposed to like build up confidence and self-esteem. This one I feel like has been a lot easier, and I haven't like put as much emphasis on it or as much effort into it, to be honest. But the Strong channel is like, that one freaking intimidates the shit out of me. I feel like I can't make a good video for it, because any time that like I'm going through footage or I'm trying to piece together something, it's never like what I think it is in my head. And like I look at other people's videos and I'm like, God, like their editing is so cool, and like they have all this footage, they have all this like, I don't know how they like figure it out, how they like piece it together like that. I want to get really good at it. I want to be better at it. It's just difficult. It's just really hard. It's really new, and I feel like a bit of a like imposter for quitting my job to do this. Like I don't need anyone to tell me like you should probably go find another way to get a paycheck, because duh. And like that's now my new plan A. I mean, I'm still gonna like, I'm at least gonna relax, like maybe for like a month. And by relax, I mean film for YouTube, put myself into other projects, and then I'll start worrying about applying places. Honestly, the biggest thing I'm afraid of right now is like leaving my old job just to end up in the same situation elsewhere. Like just to go to another place where like I'm not passionate about it, or if worse comes to worse, like I end up fucking hating it. I want to do something where like I don't have a breakdown trying to get myself to go to work. Like that's literally all that I want. Is like I want to do something that's fulfilling and that matters to me. Like that absolutely matters, and that like I'm talked to respectfully, like the workplace culture is like actually professional. Like that would be great. I definitely don't have everything figured out. And the older I get, the more that I'm realizing that like it's so cliche, and I sound so dumb for being like, I just realized this, because it's like it's what everyone tells you all your life, which is like no one has it figured out. And that's very true. And I am trying to like keep that in mind as I feel like I'm stumbling through shit and just like a little bit lost, like a little bit without purpose right now. And I try to keep that in mind and still find peace in every day, still find fulfillment and purpose in every day, in the small things. Another cliche. It's happiness is in the small things. But literally, like, it just sucks when like even the small things, like yesterday I went on a walk and I was trying so hard to make myself enjoy it. I'm like, you don't have work, you don't have anything to do, like today is totally free for you. Like, look at the water, it's gorgeous, like look at it, relax and just look at it. And I still, like, the whole entire walk, I was still like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's the message of today's video, I guess, is I don't know what I'm doing. But please, of course, comment below, what is something that you know to be true now that you did not know to be true a year ago? I can think of a lot of relationship instances where you're like, it's not gonna work out. And you knew that. And then a year later, you're like, yeah, it didn't work out. You always knew it, but you didn't know it to be true. And I think that a lot of that, the message in that is to trust more of your own instinct. And oh God, it's such a big topic for me, but like something that I have recently learned when it comes to careers and stuff like that, I don't feel like I have much cap. Like I don't feel like there's many things. Sorry, this is like the high school overachiever in me who's talking now, the one who peaked GPA-wise in like sophomore year. But I feel like if I really put my mind to it, if I really, really wanted to do something, I could probably pull off like most anything, like grades-wise, you know? I feel like I could learn a lot. I think that that's true for like everybody, to be fair. I think that most people, if they're given the resources and they're given the time, and like the space that they need, the environment that they need to learn something, I think people could learn anything. I really do. So I think that that's true for me too. I think that the bigger problem is like, what do I want to do? And that's so difficult. That's so hard to figure out. Like, if I went back to school, yeah, I think that I could study and probably like pass anything, but like, what do I want to do? And that's the hardest part for me, is saying no to things. Like, could I show up to work? Could I like get a psychiatrist note to say like, yeah, she can call out for anxiety whenever she needs? Yeah, but what if I'm miserable? What if I hate it? Like, and it's so hard for me to have those boundaries, like with myself and with careers, to be like, can I do it? Yeah, I could continue to do dispatch. I could do a receptionist, of course. Like, I'm not above any job, obviously. Like, when it comes to putting food on the table, like I do what I gotta do, but like, do I want to do it? Do I like it? Am I preventing myself from a more purposeful job, a more purposeful and fulfilling career because I don't say no to the other distracting careers, the other possibilities? That's a tougher question. Please let me know in the comments what's something you know to be true today that you did not know was true a year ago. And I will see you guys later. Please like and subscribe. It's the least the 30 of you could do, given I'm unemployed.